Welcome back to the Grid Aces show. I'm your host, Connor Hall, here with Mr. Football, Chase Godey. We got another episode today. We're going to mainly dive into the NFL world. A lot happening here. And we'll bring you some NBA talk on the next show, maybe a little college hoops as we're getting down to March Madness as well. So a little bit more of that coming up. You'll have to excuse us. Took a little bit of a break. I was feeling under the weather still, on the edge of it. So excuse me for the stuffiness, but also was out of town, so we didn't film last week. So we're excited to be back, talk some more ball, and we'll get right into it. But first, Chase, how we feeling?
Feeling great. It's good to be back. I kind of miss when we, don't film when we miss a week of filming. So it's exciting. Get back and back to talking sports.
Yeah, I'm actually glad you brought that up because I was thinking about that the other day, and actually every time, because obviously we've been a lot less active posting reels on the social media lately, and it's to the point now, and I'd say probably for the last couple months, or honestly probably the last 3 months, where since we started, if there's a little bit of inactivity from us, I almost feel like an emptiness. I don't know if you feel that same way, but it's it feels like something's missing. I don't know.
Yeah, something
So
for
it's,
sure is missing.
so it's funny you bring that up, but something that we're definitely getting more and more accustomed to, and it's gonna keep growing as we get better and better in what we do. So we appreciate y'all tuning in. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and send us some love. Let's make sure we get this thing continuing to grow. Get a couple followers every day. So keep it going. Now the first thing up, right? We got a lot happening around the trade world of the NFL. NFL free agency officially starts Monday. And it usually ends around Wednesday 4 p.m., right? And so I'm excited for what's about to come for this NFL offseason. And Chase, I'm sure you're feeling the same way. Obviously we both were super sad, right, when the season ended, but already the start of the offseason, it has been fire. Take us through what's kind of gone through so far, and we'll kind of dive into it.
Yeah, no, and obviously you mentioned free agency just right around the corner. And I think what we don't realize is our favorite teams, like it's days since their season's over, they're working, right? They're trying to figure out how to get better and how to make the next year better than the last. And what's funny is I think we just think that they're not doing anything until free agency hits, but they're working tirelessly. So I'm excited to see the fruits of the labor that these teams are putting in. But the big news that we have, there's two, I would say, big releasings. We had Kyler Murray, who got cut from Connor's beloved Arizona Cardinals. And we had Stephon Diggs cut from the Super Bowl runner-ups, the New England Patriots. So two of those, I think two that people saw coming. Obviously, more so the Kyler one, than obviously the Diggs one. But both had big contracts. We obviously know that the Kyler Murray one just didn't work out in Arizona. Probably the reason there wasn't a lot of trade value was just because the Cardinals essentially made it so it was impossible for him to return. So I think all the teams were like, yeah, we'd like to see you pay him $50 million a year to not start. That'd be awesome. We'll want to see that. So obviously I think that was they had to cut him because
front
of that.
office.
So I think they had to cut him there. And then the Diggs situation, you kind of see this with older players that have big contracts, to the point where you're just like, it's a business decision. The Patriots, we need to open up that cap room and actually get a star. Because I think Diggs was fine, but
Yeah, he's not what he used
Stephon
to be.
Diggs
He's
last
lost his
year
step.
was equivalent of a good wide receiver 2. So that team just kind of has a bunch of wide receiver 2s and 3s. Obviously no bona fide 1, which we'll get into in a little bit because I've heard rumors that they're targeting a big wide receiver to come there and help out their young quarterback. But those are the two big releases. And then there was three, in my opinion, big trades. Let us know if we're missing any. But Trent McDuffie is probably, in my opinion, the biggest one. Trent McDuffie, obviously, he's was a corner for the Kansas City Chiefs. He got traded to the Los Angeles Rams, and the Rams, all they had to give up was the 29th pick in this year's draft. Connor, what are your thoughts on that? Like your initial reaction when you saw the trade and obviously what it was for and whatnot.
My initial reaction when I saw the trade was, holy shit, the Rams are going to be scary. I think the biggest issue with that defense was the secondary. I think McDuffie, you're trading for, yes, you do have to pay him, right? But this is a corner who's top 5, arguably top 3, right in his prime right now. And the thing I like about McDuffie, last year was maybe viewed as more or less a down year just because the Chiefs struggled so much, but he's a corner that's not afraid to hit and take hits. And that's something that I value a lot in a corner. And so I loved it for the Rams. On the other end, for the Chiefs, I get the move because they're kind of headed in that direction that we're kind of seeing where it's like, all right, we might have to start prepping for a future, right? And they were going to have to pay him, and they've got a lot of guys they got to pay on that roster. So I think it was what? They got a first, and then they also got a 5th, 6th, and 7th, didn't they?
I didn't see that. What did they trade something back and forth? I could look up exactly what it was.
I'm pretty positive. I could be wrong as well, but I'm pretty sure they got a 5th, 6th, or 7th, or a couple late round picks as well. But I think the most interesting part about this trade is the Rams didn't give up the 13th overall pick, and I think that's huge. My guess is they're going to build the defense even more with that pick. And so I think they're going to be setting themselves up to have a really scary defense here this year, the year after that. So I'm excited for.
They got a first, this year 5th, this year 6th, and a next year's 3rd.
Okay, next year's 3rd. Yeah, I knew there were a couple late rounders.
Yeah, that makes it a little bit better because I think I just saw the initial reports and, because the 5th and 6th are kind of whatever, right? For those of you guys that don't know, like, it's not very common that people drafted in the 5th, 6th, 7th round make teams. Every once in a while you find a diamond in the rough, but a lot of times it's just depth pieces, guys you're trying to develop on the practice squad. But that 3rd rounder is pretty decent because I think just like you, when I saw it, I was like, what are the Chiefs doing? The package I still don't think is quite what I would want it to be for a Trent McDuffie type player. Because if he was in this
the only
draft,
reason it is what it is because they have to pay him.
Yeah, no, for sure. But because that's exactly the point, right? Because if you were to draft him this year, say, obviously with what you know, right? And you could get him on a rookie deal. And if he was in this draft, he would be a top 10 pick no matter what, right? But obviously the value of drafting is you get to have rookies on relatively cheap deals. Depends on the position though. Like for example, like Ashton Genty was a very expensive running back just because the running back position doesn't have a lot of value. So especially with like defensive ends, quarterbacks, offensive tackles, D tackles, it's huge, right? For middle linebackers, for safeties, for running backs. Actually, if you draft them high, it's actually bad value because you're paying them top 5 in their position if you're picking them in the top 10. But I would have liked to see the Chiefs, if they're going to make this move, get something this year in like the 15 to 20 range. Like I feel like that's fair for having to pay his big salary. But I think it's interesting because the Chiefs last year, they had a really good defense. 8 of the top 10 defenses last year made the playoffs. One of those was the Chiefs. So I don't know. It's just like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And a Howie Roseman quote when he was asked about the whole AJ Brown situation was like, when you're trying to win a Super Bowl, you don't get rid of good players, right?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like when you get rid of a Trent McDuffie type is when you're trying to rebuild. If you're the, if you're the Las Vegas Raiders, sure. That's why they're looking to trade Max Crosby because they're not in the win now mode, right? Like they're in like, let's rebuild this thing. Let's get a lot of draft picks. Let's get a lot of young, cheap talent. Let's figure this thing out. So I don't know. I don't really love it for the Chiefs, to be quite honest, but it makes me feel a little better that they got that first, next year's third, and then got some potential depth pieces. But that's
I
kind of my
agree. I
thoughts
do
on it.
think they got a haul. I don't hate the value maybe as much as you do.
Well, the value is not the big issue for me. I guess it's the why.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, the why. But here's the thing we've seen with the Chiefs. They love to trade their corners right before
Sure.
they are having a payday. And it hasn't failed them so far. So kind of to your point where if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Well,
Yes, McDuffie's phenomenal. Right. And this is kind of just the other side of the coin where it's like this kind of what they've been doing to save money
mhm.
and also stay competitive.
Yeah, I will say with the Chiefs, though, I think a big reason of their success, I know we've talked about this, is that division was so crap that they essentially just had a cakewalk to the playoffs. And now I'm just like, okay, so you're going to go up against Bo Nix twice a year. You're going to go up against Justin Herbert twice a year, some good offenses and good teams. And you just kind of made your defense worse,
Oh,
right?
for
We
sure.
obviously know that, Mike McDaniel's going to be calling plays over there in Los
LA.
Angeles now too. So I'm getting a little, I don't know. I just think it's a little worrisome and it's kind of like backpedaling, in my opinion, for the Chiefs when I'm like, Travis Kelsey's probably in arguably his last season. Mahomes, I think, is probably
Most
30 now.
definitely. This
Yeah.
has to be his last season.
And Mahomes is 30. I don't know. It's just like, I mean, maybe they're trying to get younger, but I just don't know. And maybe they just think that they'll have a chance because they have Patrick Mahomes. But like so far, this Chiefs team, and obviously I'm curious to see what they draft. But so far, this Chiefs team is worse than it is last year, and it wasn't very good last year.
Oh, for
Right.
sure. If
So,
if we were to start the season today, obviously this Chiefs team is going to be much worse. We got a lot to see what they do going forward,
yeah.
but
And the
I agree
Chargers are going to have
entirely.
both their tackles back healthy. Like the Chargers are going to be better. They got a good OC now there. Like, I don't know. I'm worried about the Chiefs.
So here's a question I want to pose to you, because you might feel a lot differently from me. I would rather, and I'm thinking about a corner that was traded earlier on in the season, age not included, just talent for talent. I would rather McDuffie over Sauce. What's your thoughts on
Me
that?
too. 100% valid.
And so I think the value difference in the trade to me
Well,
is
the
not
Colts one
worth
was,
the
well,
couple
yeah.
years.
I mean, that's comparing dog shit, right? Like anything's going to be better. Like I honestly cannot believe what the Jets got for him. Like in my opinion, we saw Sauce come into the league like on that. He got drafted super high, so then he gets put into this box of, oh, he should be elite. Then we had confirmation bias his rookie year,
Yeah.
really good play, but it's kind of been
Hard
worse
Knocks didn't
each
help that.
year. It's kind of been worse each year. And he's one of those that it's like not a great tackler, like not extremely
Oh, he
physical.
doesn't like to hit people.
And he's like, yeah, he's like pretty good in coverage. But even when I watch him in coverage, sometimes it kind of looks awkward. Like he doesn't look that smooth, in my opinion. So I'm not saying he's not good, but yeah, I
No.
mean,
So
what they gave
I'm
up two
glad you brought
first
that up.
rounders for two first
Mhm.
rounders for him, and
And
yeah, I don't know. So
Adonai Mitchell, right?
yeah. So I will say, you're right. In comparison to the Sauce Gardner trade, this is
Rams got
just yeah,
a beautiful deal out of it.
yeah.
So I'm actually glad you brought up the real quick on Sauce because we don't got to talk about him real quick. But Sauce Gardner is a player to me that he doesn't pass the eye test, but he looks really good in the advanced stats and the box score and the stats all like that, right? But it's like you said, I think the reason he doesn't pass that eye test is because there's almost somewhat of an awkwardness to it. But we can move on from that. What would you grade the trade for both teams?
I would grade it because the way I would grade a trade is you got to look at the situation, right? So you can't just look at like, player team A trades the team B, like, because then I don't think that's fair to grade it that way because so much of it's situational. Because if you just did team A to team B, right, I would probably say the Rams slightly won the trade. But the reason, but I would say value wise, probably fair. It would be like an A and
Yeah, yeah,
an
yeah.
A
No,
minus,
no.
A
So
plus.
you don't got to compare the teams.
But
Like
yeah, what I was
situational for them, what would you grade it?
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. But yeah, I was just explaining that because I didn't want to get clowned in the comments. But I would say for
That's
the
fair.
Rams, this is an A plus trade.
Hmm.
Matthew Stafford is Matthew Stafford's not getting any younger. Probably if I had to ballpark it 2 more seasons, could potentially be his last next year. And the reason they couldn't win is the offense was awesome. The defense just sucked, right? We saw it in the playoffs. Like it took them having to score 30 points. So they need to revamp this defense. And the main spot is the cornerback play. I think they need to fix their linebacker room as well. But step in the right direction. And yeah, they gave up a first, a next year's third, which is huge for teams trying to win now, and then that fifth and sixth this year. And not to mention the Rams got to keep, like you said, it was what, the 14th overall pick, the one they got from the
Yeah,
Falcons?
13. Hmm.
13. Thank you. The one from that James that the Falcons took, James Pierce.
Yeah.
Um, but so I think that's an A plus trade.
Hey, shout out that trade.
Shout out James Pierce. Hey, he honestly had what, 12 sacks his rookie year.
Yeah.
Unbelievable player, unbelievable talent. There were some character concerns before the year. Looked like, or when he was in the draft process, looks like potentially those were valid concerns.
Yeah.
And then for the Chiefs, I'm going to give this one a C plus. The reason it's a C plus is because I think it is a D minus as far as like situational, but they actually did get a decent haul, like you said, for him. So that's why I'm going to bump it up to a C plus because right now it's Patrick Mahomes is on that deal that he signed whatever 5 years ago, where it's 45 a year. I don't know if he's going to end up wanting to get it bumped up when he starts seeing all these crazy numbers. Travis Kelce's probably going into his very last season. The defense was good last year. Defense wins championships. What they needed to do was revamp the offense, not make the defense worse. Now,
So what I
someone
was
could
gonna
argue that
ask
they're going
you.
to use this first round pick
Hmm.
for something in the offense. My only problem with that is like what they need on the offense, in my opinion, isn't really draft picky. It's more of like free agent signings. Like if
Yeah,
I'm them, like they have a lot of talent at receiver, right? They got Rasheed Rice, they got
more
Xavier
or less.
Worthy. You can bring in another. You got Travis Kelce. Like you got some. Like they're your starting group. Um, right? You go sign a free agent wide receiver, a veteran, or you go draft one. We're going to talk about this draft, and I'm going to talk about receivers specifically. But I don't like the top end receiver. I don't think the top end receiver value is great. I think there's a lot of deep receivers that you're going to draft in the second, third, and fourth round. So a first rounder doesn't really help you too much there. And then I think you go get a running back that you're going to be able to count on. I don't know if a rookie back is going to be the one to do that. And they could have already used their first round pick for that and go get like a Jeremiah Love if they want. Um, so I don't know. I just don't love, you just made the defense worse. And I don't really see how that first rounder this year is going to make a Trent McDuffie level impact on the roster this year.
But I
Like
think I
I could
think the
see how it could
money
make
you
an
pay
impact in three,
McDuffie
4, 5. I know,
is
but
what
their
they
cap
might use
situation
on the
wasn't that.
offense. But it'd
I
be for the
mean, but we'll
future,
see it. And that's the
right?
other thing
Like,
is I don't think the free agents this year, like this year's free agency class, the people that are becoming free agents aren't like it's not as good as the years prior.
yeah,
Like we're talking Alec Pierce is like the number 2 free agent prospect. Like, are we being serious? You know?
yeah. Now they're gonna go get Mike Evans. No, I'm
Yeah,
just
I
kidding.
mean the 38-year-old Mike.
I
I
think
mean,
more so for me. I'm not even thinking free agency. I'm thinking more so for trade money, trade room.
yeah, I just don't
You go
know.
trade for a big name receiver.
Yeah, I don't know. And they might as well just, I just think Tyreek Hill's just like moth to a
I
flame.
don't.
He'll be there.
That's bro.
I
That's
know.
the
I'm just
last
joking.
thing I want.
I'm just
I'm
joking.
so tired of media talking about that.
I know. It's
I
just
don't
funny.
I
They're
don't
trying to make it happen.
they want it so hard, dude.
He's a Cardinal.
Hell no. I'd rather go to the Chiefs, bro.
You
Stay
don't
away
want him.
from here. Hell
You don't
no.
want him. If he's
No.
on a cheap deal,
No,
what
I'm
was
good.
it? 2 years ago, he led the league in receiving yards in back-to-back years, or
Yeah, I'm good, bro. I want
maybe.
and I'm good because I want I want Marv to like if Tyreek Hill comes here, it's gonna stunt any chance of Marv growth.
Because then
And if
Marv's the third best receiver, the third
exactly
option.
fourth actually.
Who would be the third?
Michael Wilson as well.
Well, no, Michael Wilson and who else? Oh, I
Oh,
meant
Trey
that
McBride.
receiver. Yeah, I
Oh
meant
yeah,
receiver.
yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, third best receiver.
because
So
Michael Wilson, nice.
he's
I honestly love that. I feel like he's still under the radar, you
mhm.
know. But the man's nice.
Oh, he's nice. He's been
Yeah,
nice. He just hasn't gotten the
yeah,
volume.
for
Um,
sure. He started getting it there at the end.
yeah. And then what was I saying? Oh yeah. Big name receiver, right? Whoever it may be. I think they might use that money. But, you know, I like your grades, A plus, C plus. I was surprised you went C plus. That's where I went for the Chiefs as well. For the Rams, I'm going with an A, right? I don't think
Okay.
you really can go wrong with this trade for them. But let's move on to another trade. We saw David Montgomery get traded to the Texans. Remind me what they got in return.
I'm pretty sure, 95% sure. Obviously, it happened probably a week ago, but a fourth, a sixth, and it was a backup offensive
Yep.
lineman.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
um, the main reason I don't like this one, also partially the situation, I want some clarity of what the Texans are going to do, because in my opinion, they have obviously they have Nick Chubb still on the roster, which probably need to get rid of. They have Joe Mixon still on the roster. They have Woody Marks,
Who
who
looked good last year
looked
for
great.
a
And
rookie.
obviously most teams I think should do two back systems regardless.
Hmm.
And then David Montgomery. My thing is I'm like, okay, well, are we getting rid of Joe Mixon and Nick Chubb?
They have to be.
And running a David Montgomery Woody Marks, which I don't mind as much. My issue with David Montgomery is running backs shelf life is very short. Unless they are a hyper elite running back, go get them in the draft. My opinion personally, if I was the Texans, I would have just used my fourth round pick and went out and got a good running back.
Okay,
This running
there's some
back class
clarification on the
is
running
very
back
deep.
room. So Nick Chubb's a free agent this year.
Okay,
They're
so he
obviously
won't be
going to
on
let him
anymore.
walk, and they're planning on releasing Joe Mixon
Okay,
before
makes
the
sense,
the new
and that's
year.
what we figured, right? Because
Yeah.
that's the only thing that makes sense. But my opinion is use that fourth rounder, go get a young, healthy rookie running back that wants to prove himself and wants to earn a bag. That's on a super cheap deal instead of using that same fourth rounder plus a sixth rounder plus a depth offensive lineman, right? Piece to go get an
When
expensive
you struggle
older running back.
at your own line, anyways.
Exactly. So, and I know you're probably going to ask me what I grade this one, and I think it's obviously pretty obvious how I'm talking, but I think this is literally an A plus trade for the Lions because they offload the contract, right? And they know obviously they're going to have to pay Jameer here a bunch of money. Jameer now gets more touches, probably. That's a win. And you got pretty good stuff in return, right? Depth offensive
Mhm.
line piece, sixth rounder, and a fourth rounder. And especially because here in 2 years, David Montgomery probably is not going to have a trademark because he'll be too old for one. So, genius. Loved it for them. For the Texans, I'm going to give it probably a solid C minus, just because I get obviously Woody Marks isn't going to run it by himself. I just think that they got terrible value for him, and you get a
Yeah,
big
and you can
contract.
find you shouldn't be prioritizing running back right now. That's
And
not the
because we're
issue.
doing this show today, March 5th is when we're recording this. They just extended Daniil Hunter for 1 year for $40 million.
Uh-huh.
Would have probably been nice. Like you just gave away a lot of your money. Like we didn't have tons to work with. Let's just give away a bunch of it and then have a super expensive running back on top of that. So
Shout out to
that's
Neil
why it's a
Hunter
C
though,
minus.
dog.
Yeah, man
Um,
got a bag, 40 million. There was a
yeah,
time like 5 years ago, no quarterbacks were making 40 million.
that's true. For me, I grade it for the Lions a B plus. You get a great return. It's a fake morale hit though, because you're breaking up Sonic and Knuckles. You hate to see it, but it is great for Jameer Gibbs getting more touches. And yeah, and then I'd say I'm probably with you with it on a C minus for the Texans, because what the hell are y'all doing? Y'all front office might be dumber than mine. All right. And then our last trade, we got who do we got? I'm
DJ
spacing.
Moore
That's right. Happened
is
today.
getting traded to the Buffalo Bills from the Bears, and the Bears are acquiring this year's second round pick from the Bills and this year's fifth round pick from the Bills. This trade, in my opinion, is the only trade that makes sense 100% for both teams.
Oh, for
Now,
sure.
I think DJ Moore is a wonderful player. And I had conversations with a few people where I was saying how much I really liked DJ Moore. If I needed a receiver, I'd go after him because you're going to be getting way better value than what he's worth. But I so that's why I think it makes so much sense. What is he, 28 years old, I'm pretty sure. He is unbelievably physical. He can take a hitch route, a screen, a slant to the end zone. He can blow the top off the defense. He's a decent route runner. He's got good hands. Like low end, low to mid end wide receiver one is what he is, right, in the NFL, right? I'd say most people would probably put DJ Moore somewhere between 15 and 25 in their rankings. Some might even have him up there where it's just 10. After last season, it'd be hard to. But it
Mm-hmm.
makes sense for the Bears because it just didn't work out, right? Like that happens sometimes where you have good players that are in the wrong system, the wrong scheme, the wrong, mindset, the wrong city, the wrong just situation overall, and it doesn't pan out, right? He was essentially, obviously they liked Rome Odunze more. They used Colston Loveland a bunch towards the end there. They have Luther Burden they're going to want to develop and use. Right? I know they had Keenan Allen last year, but right, it's like he's not he shouldn't be a third option in an offense to catch the ball, and that's what he would have been. He would have been a third or a fourth option in the Bears offense. So it was super smart of them to go get value, and obviously offload his 20-something million dollar a year contract. So love this one for both. I would grade it probably, and I would do an A. Probably give it an A for the Bills, and I'd probably give it an A minus for the Bears. I liked it for
Okay.
both.
Um, I would say, yeah, kind of just piggybacking off of that. It was very apparent this last year that um, the Bears have a young, up and coming wide receiver room. And DJ Moore, I don't think his style really fit with Caleb Williams as much as these younger guys might going forward. I think that's something that the Bears organizations wants to work with more. So I agree. I thought it made a lot of sense for the Bears. On the other end, I think it makes a lot of sense for the Bills as well. DJ Moore, a guy who's already worked with Joe Brady back in Carolina. Um, so that could be a good connection, right? He's going to probably get more schemes drawn up for him this year than he's maybe ever seen, right? Especially where he has best quarterback in the league throwing to him. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. For the Bills, I do like it. I don't know if I love dude, I don't think they gave up too much value. They probably gave up the right amount of value for him. I just don't know if he's an alpha wide receiver. It's kind of like you said, like he's kind of that lower to mid tier wide receiver one. I would have liked to see Buffalo go out and try and use those picks and maybe like a Keon Coleman or even a Khalil Shakir to go and get a higher end wide receiver that can um, go up right. I guess he is pretty physical. I guess I don't know. I kind of wanted the Bills to go out and get like an AJ Brown or something.
I think no, and I agree full heartedly with yeah, you wanted to get someone better. But I think if this trade would have happened 1 year prior and you didn't watch last season, I think you would have really liked this trade, right? And you know, so I think yes
Yeah.
and no, but it's like, and those top end wide receivers, like what it's going to cost. Like I heard today, or I don't know if it's a rumor, if it's true, but the Eagles turned down the Patriots' first round pick, which is obviously very late first round, tied with a third rounder and Austin Hooper, the tight end for AJ Brown, that the Eagles turned that down.
Sorry,
So
say that trade again.
I heard a rumor that the Patriots were potentially offering a first rounder, their first rounder, which is the 31st overall pick, so a late first, their third rounder this year, and tight end Austin Hooper for AJ Brown. So I think, and the Eagles apparently turned it down. So obviously
I
that
don't love
shows
that
you.
trade though.
No, I don't either, and I think that's why the Eagles turned it down. But
Uh-huh.
right, so I think the Bills were like, well, we don't want to give up our first, and apparently the first, a third, and a decent player is still not enough. So what we'd have to give up a first, a second, and a player, like that's a lot for a receiver, especially one that has a big contract. So I think that's why they didn't want to go after an AJ Brown, and they're like, let me go get a DJ Moore, who,
Hey,
if we would have done this
you as
trade
an
a year
Eagles fan
ago,
would have been happy with that Patriots
no,
trade.
no, no, for two reasons. One, I think the Eagles, like I said, the Eagles are a win now team. Like their cap situation is going to get worse and worse here in the next coming years. They have a super elite, cheap defense right now. Um, you don't get rid of star players if you're trying to win right now, unless they're extremely disgruntled. And it seems like they have steadied the waters and got AJ Brown excited for next year. And the second reason I hate it is right now his cap hits 24 million, I believe it is, for this next year if he's on the Eagles. If the Eagles trade him, it creates an extra $40 million of dead cap. So if they trade him before June 1st, his cap hit next year is 60 something million dollars. If they trade him after June 1st, that 40 million gets to be divided up into the two into this year and next year. So his cap hit would be 40 million for this year and then 20 million for him not to be on the roster next year. So that's why it makes the Eagles, in order to trade AJ Brown, are going to have to get an absolute haul, or he's going to have to be extremely disgruntled, which it sounds so far that he likes Sean Mannion and likes the idea of the Eagles offense running something similar to a Sean McVay, Matt LaFleur, Kevin O'Connell mix that are all really
Yeah,
good
there's
offenses.
potential there. There's
So
something to be excited about.
they've at least tricked AJ Brown into believing that it's going to be different, to the point where he has, apparently the reports are, he's been a good leader and a leader so far in this offseason, and is apparently excited about coming back. And I think his main gripe was with Kevin Patullo, and that's why we
I
saw
think so
Kevin
too.
Patullo got a D plus on the Eagles NFLPA grades, where Sirianni got an A, which we always heard that the players don't like him. So it's probably not true. And I think just the fact that Kevin Patullo's gone and AJ Brown's going to be allowed to run something other than a hitch, slant, or go, he's probably pretty excited. So that's why an Eagles AJ Brown trade is super unlikely. But I think that's why they went with the DJ Moore, because I think that's like the best option that's not going to leverage too hard your future.
Yeah. I would give this one for the Bears probably a B plus, and I'd give it for the Bills probably a B minus. So not too
Fair.
far from you. Um, that's kind of all the NFL trade stuff. Where I'm sure we're gonna see a bunch more. Speaking of getting a bunch more, um, I want to talk about some potential trades you could maybe see from some star players.
Yeah. And obviously, Connor and myself, like, we like to keep up on like current news and like what is being reported, but obviously we don't. Adam Schefter, we don't have any insider information on what's actually going to go down.
Yeah,
But these are just some that, like, players that you could potentially see. Not that we think that they're going to get traded, but I think they could be. The first one I want to talk about, and obviously I'm sure he's on your list as well, but is Max Crosby. It's I think it's very likely that he gets traded, so that's why it's fun to talk about. And he's probably the best player available for a trade, for a realistic trade, especially. And so obviously I know there's been reports that he doesn't want to play for the Raiders ever again. It makes a bunch of sense for the Raiders to trade him because they're not exactly going to win right now. Division's really brutal. Going to have a rookie quarterback most likely, or at least a new quarterback. And the team outside of Max Crosby is essentially a bunch of hot dog water. I mean, I guess they
Oh
got
yeah,
Genty
living league.
and your boy, what's his name?
Brock Bowers,
Rock Bowers. Thank you.
my boy.
Once we get to the off season, dude,
He was on
you're
my
just gonna.
fantasy team. Now he's my boy.
um, but yeah, so it makes tons of sense for them to trade him. I think a couple potential fits for him.
Hey,
Actually,
Jaden Daniels is your boy now because he was on your team.
I, that actually segues perfectly into it. I think the destination that makes the most sense for him is the Washington Commanders.
Oh,
Okay. Now, obviously, when you're trying to get a star player, that's where you're going to have to give up a lot for. You really need to be like, we need to win now, right? So the question is, are the Commanders a win now team? We saw, obviously not last season, but the season prior, the Commanders were on the doorstep of going to the Super Bowl, but they ran into the greatest team of all time, right? So, that being said, like, I think they're closer than what we saw last year. Jaden Daniels was obviously very banged up. He's better than what he put out there. Um, so obviously, I think that is part of it. I think they can get a lot of that back and be competitive. But obviously, what held them back the year that they were really good was that defense. And on that defensive line, there was essentially hodgepodgery, right? I guess in the whole defense, you could really say there's
the
essentially
defense was one of the
hodgepodgery.
worst in the league.
So I think what it starts with is going and getting a bona fide star to kind of build around on that defense. And with that, I think that they can really compete, especially if Jaden Daniels is back healthy. And I know it's the new ownership over there with the Commanders. They want to win, right? They spent a lot of money to buy that team. They got a little bit of a taste for the going to the NFC Championship, and then it was immediately back to kind of what the Commanders have been the last 10 years. So I'm excited for that possibility. I've heard rumors about the Eagles potentially trading for him, which, yeah, I guess could be interesting. Doubt it happens. Eagles don't have tons of cap space. And if you were going to do that trade, you'd probably have to throw AJ Brown in there, which I just explained, would make their 20 million they have in cap completely disappear. So I don't think it's likely for that one to happen, although I think it would make tons of sense. Eagles are a win now team. Their edge rusher position is a little bit of question mark. Are they
Y'all
going to
just
bring back?
keep stacking that defense.
Are they going to bring back Jalen Phillips? If they don't, they're staring down the barrel of Nolan Smith and Jalix Hunt on the edge. That's probably a
Little side
bottom
tangent. Do you
10
think they'll
edge
bring
rusher
back
duo.
Jalen Phillips?
Um, he's the one that's the biggest question mark for me on the Eagles. I know we're not doing a deep dive of the Eagles, but like I see Dallas Goedert leaving, I see Reed Blankenship leaving, I see Nakobe Dean leaving. I would say I'm probably think it's a 60% chance that Jalen Phillips stays.
Nice.
It just depends on what he wants. The reason though that I can see them letting Jalen Phillips walk and not matching offers is when you have a highly touted free agent leave, you get something in the NFL called compensatory picks. And if that player signs a big free agent deal, it becomes a third round pick. If it's not a step down from the big deal, it's a fourth round pick. So the Eagles could essentially say, okay, well, let's let him walk and we get a third rounder, right? Like, it's not that bad. So I think that's the biggest piece of that puzzle and why I'm a little bit hesitant, because it makes a lot of sense to bring him back. But that compensatory pick makes it so it's a little bit harder, right? It's not like a Reed Blankenship where you might not get a compensatory. Well, you probably will, but you get like a fifth round compensatory
It's
pick
almost
or a
intriguing
sixth rounder.
to let him
So it
walk.
almost incentivizes, but that if they let him walk, that edge rusher position is a huge need for him. Arguably their biggest need, probably that corner offensive line depth, because they need that third corner. But obviously, it's a side tangent. So I think the Commanders is the team that makes the most sense because they're a win now team. They definitely have a lot of picks to give them. They have tons of cap space so they can take on his big contract. And we saw that their offense can be super elite, that they can win games, that they can compete, but the defense needs to vastly improve. So that's my Max Crosby kind of what I'm thinking. What are your thoughts
Arizona's
on that?
my top place for him for sure.
They're just not win now. You'd want them to do that.
Yeah, it'd be sick.
I mean, but what are you thinking the Cardinals would have to give up? I just want to make sure we're on the same
A
page.
lot. We'd have to give up a lot.
I think his asking price is probably it's bare minimum 2 firsts and a player, or probably 3 firsts. Like it might be 2 firsts and a third. Maybe you might be able to get away with that with how high the Cardinals are picking. You could probably do 2 firsts and a decent player, but that's I don't know. And for the Cardinals, that kind of like,
So I was thinking,
know,
here's what I was thinking. We keep our firsts. We give him Marvin Harrison Jr. to pair with Mendoza. We give him
and what else?
a couple seconds and a couple late rounds. And we'll throw in yeah, that's fair.
That's the issue, right? Like, and the Raiders aren't going to be able to even sell that to their organization, right? If
No,
there's
I
not
know.
like, if
What
there's
do you
not
mean, dude? Maserati
multiple
Marv
firsts,
in Las Vegas? You can't sell that? Come on. A good
I
salesman can
mean,
sell
before the
anything.
year, if they would have traded him right after they picked him, maybe, you
Yeah.
know,
Oh, for sure.
I would say the Cardinals package, they could throw Marv in there though. I bet they could do Marv. I bet they could do Marv, a first and a second, maybe.
Yeah,
I
I'd
don't
be cool
know.
with that as long as it wasn't this year's first, because there's
I don't
a
know.
guy I'm excited about that I kind of want to talk about that I want
No,
to
I think
draft.
it would have to be this year's first. The Raiders aren't going to take the future ones are worth a lot less, right? The
I
present value of
know.
the player.
That's why I wouldn't want. That's why I'd want to get
And this
give
year's
up
first
on.
is what? Top 10?
Huh? This
This year's
first is 3.
3? Yeah. So I'd say this year's, since you guys are picking so high, a second and Marv. I think they'd probably do that.
Yeah, I like that deal. Let's kind of speed run the next couple ones because we
Okay.
kind of went on a tangent on that one.
The next one I have is Brian Thomas Jr. Now, this one more just intrigues me. I honestly
I
think
don't know
we
if
kind of,
he'll be a good receiver anywhere he goes.
which is fair, but that's why they need to trade him is while he still has some value, where some people
Yeah.
could just chalk it up to kind of a bad year. But so far, the only time we've ever seen him look good is when Mac Jones was throwing him the football, which is very concerning because your quarterback that you're paying a lot of money that you want to keep doesn't really throw the ball to him and doesn't really like him, I
Yeah.
guess. Like they haven't
So I
really
guess
had
once Mac
chemistry.
Jones goes to Arizona, we could trade
Bingo.
for Brian Thomas.
That actually would be a good one. Um, but the
All right,
Brian
I'm done.
Thomas
I'm done referring everything to Arizona.
the
I'm just
Brian
in
Thomas
shambles.
Jr. one that I think is interesting is Brian Thomas Jr. I think the reason he should be traded, and if I were the Jags, I'd trade him because clearly Trevor Lawrence really likes Parker Washington, which is concerning. If Trevor Lawrence is going to like Parker Washington more than Brian Thomas Jr., you got to get rid of Brian Thomas Jr. because that shows you guys aren't even valuing his skill set enough to keep him. So you might
Yeah.
as well trade him. And not
And
to
he
mention
can't go
Travis.
play corner like the other wide receiver over there.
Yeah. And Travis Hunter, they'll probably is going to come back healthy. They're going to want to be mixing more into the offense. And
Actually, I don't know if
and
you
who's the
saw it
guy
came
that
out.
came
He's
on?
get Travis
Tr-
Hunter is converting to almost a full-time corner now.
But he's still going to play some receiver. So
Yeah,
yeah, that
here and
was
there, but it's going to be
yeah. So
less
it
is what I've
sounds like
heard.
it's going to what he did last year when he played receiver, where it was like 25% of the snaps, and
Mhm.
then which I think when he's in, they're going to be throwing him the ball and targeting it. Like if you look at like a stat they sometimes show is like targets per route run, Travis Hunter is going to be really high because when he's in, I bet you they're going to be throwing the ball or scheming stuff up for him. So I think that's why that one's a little bit different. But yeah, he's going to be playing mostly corner. I did see that one. Um, but I who's that? Who's the receiver that they kind of that came on late? I think it was for the or no, they
Jacoby
traded for
Myers.
Jacoby Myers. Thank you. Um, so obviously Jacoby Myers, they have Parker Washington. They're going to scheme up a bunch of stuff um, for Travis Hunter when he's in there. So they just don't really, it makes sense for them to trade him. So I think the place that fits him the best is the Patriots. They've clearly been trying to trade for AJ Brown. I just don't think it's going to happen. And if it happens, I think it's going to be stupid of the Patriots because they'll end up giving too much for him. So I think a better fit is go get Brian Thomas Jr. You watch Brian Thomas Jr. run routes. You watch his tape from his rookie year. You watch his highlights at LSU, and you're like, this guy should be a top 10 receiver in football. Like, just watching him run routes and how quick in and out of breaks he is, like, the guy should be really, really good. And you can sell it to him in the fact that, dude, you're going to be a wide receiver one here with a runner up MVP um, on a really good team. Like, I think that would excite Brian Thomas Jr. to get a fresh start and to utilize his immense skill set. I don't know exactly what a trade package would look like. I haven't looked into it too deep, but probably something similar to like a DJ Moore type trade. You give up a second rounder, and maybe a late round pick is probably my guess. I doubt you're getting a first rounder for him at this point. A third rounder would be kind of offensive, but if you're not going to use him, I mean, his value to the Jaguars is like a fourth or a fifth rounder. I mean, they literally are going to prefer Parker Washington and Jacoby Myers over him. But I think if they get a second in a late round or like 2/3 or something, could make sense for them to move on from Brian Thomas Jr.
Love it. And what is your last one for us?
The final one, I kind of stuck with like more fun players, right? Kind of avoiding like offensive linemen and some of those positions. So this one's Jordan Addison. I think the Vikings are a team where they clearly have a good defense. They aren't even utilizing Justin Jefferson enough. If you're not going to utilize Justin Jefferson enough, it doesn't make sense to have 2 ones on your team,
Yeah.
and especially if they don't go out and get a really good quarterback, they have to trade Jordan Addison or they're just wasting their time. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what would be fun if I'm Kyler Murray, I'm 100% picking the Vikings because if he goes to the Jets or he goes to what was it, the place I was thinking of him going to? That I think was a death sentence. I mean, the Jets were the main one that were.
Was it the Jets?
Oh, maybe it was the Browns. I think it was Jets or Browns. Death sentence, right? I think he should either go to the Cardinals or not the Cardinals. Sorry, he should either go to the Falcons or he should go to the Vikings. I'd probably pick the Vikings. If that's the situation, keep Jordan Addison. I mean, maybe you lean a little bit more towards keeping him, but I would look to trade him right now. A lot of teams want a receiver, and the place that I'd trade him to is the San Francisco 49ers. Jordan Addison's traits is elite route runner, great hands, right? He's fast, he can take the top off the defense. I think that would fit
He's
really,
injury
really
prone.
Yeah, I think it would fit really, really well into the Niners system. We saw last year the Niners averaged like the least amount of yards after the catch. Not saying that he's an elite yak guy, but they really didn't have tons of talent at the wide receiver position specifically. Juwan Jennings is super slow. Ricky Pearsall can recover from a bullet wound really quick, but a little bit of an ankle hurty or a hamstring hurty, that's going to take longer than a bullet wound.
No disrespect to come on. That's crazy, bro.
So bullet wound 2 weeks recovery time, ankle hurty 3 months. But I think they need, obviously George Kittle, we know is Achilles injury. Who knows what's his availability going to be for the beginning of the season. Christian McCaffrey's getting older. I know he's pretty much a slot guy, but Juwan's probably going to be gone. Brandon Ayuk's gone. Ricky Pearsall, big question mark. Probably at best he's a wide receiver too. So if you have Jordan Addison, Ricky Pearsall, Kittle towards the end of the year, Christian McCaffrey, like that offense has a good chance to hum. Trade packages for him. I don't know. If they want a first, you got to just say no. But
for sure,
you do a second, you do another DJ Moore type trade, second and a later pick. I'm fine with it. 2/3 sounds good, But the Niners' issue is they're picking later in the draft, so it'd be probably a pretty late second. But yeah, I think if you do a second and a fourth, that's good for the Niners. and it's makes sense for the Vikings, who, similar to that Brian Thomas, if they don't have a decent quarterback in there, it's no sense just underutilizing both Addison and Jay Jettis.
So a potential move of many for the Vikings that might come this offseason. You kind of hinted at Kyler Murray a little bit. Free agent finally released by the Arizona Cardinals. I think Minnesota is the place that makes the most sense. If Kevin O'Connell can't figure it out with him, nobody can. My
Fair.
issue with Kyler Murray, he's an insane athlete. A little one, but he is an insane one at that. But the issue is he's not a leader, right? And the Vikings are intriguing because Kevin O'Connell is a leader. I don't know if Kyler Murray's really had much of a leader in any of his head coaches.
Correct.
So it's a good fit, and I like it that way. I'm glad he's gone though, so we can move on from Kyler Murray. And then we kind of did already talk about Stephon Diggs getting released as well. He'll be another one up in free agency. My guess is he'll get signed cheap somewhere to go be a wide receiver too, as long as allegations don't come out.
The
Or
Titans.
don't.
Yeah, I think that the joke where the Titans, every old receiver just
Oh yeah, goes there to die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw a meme that was like, you Stephon Diggs in Titans jersey just looks right.
Hey,
Like,
when we both paused there, I thought you were gonna finish my sentence. I thought it was gonna be a really romantic moment, but that was not the case.
oh, you were talking
But
about the allegations, huh? Yeah.
yeah, I was talking about the
I don't know. I think
lawsuit
that stuff's
stuff
going to get I think most of it's civil, if I'm not
brushed
wrong.
under.
So,
Oh, is
yeah, I
it?
think it's going to be, I think it's more the criminal stuff that you got to worry about. But even the criminal stuff, I mean, you see with Rashee Rice, like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's true. It really don't, bro. It really does not
But
matter.
for
They
James
get away
Pierce,
with so much.
For James Pierce, unfortunately, it might matter after
That's
after a
true.
video and how bad
Homie's
it
cooked.
looks.
Homie's cooked.
Honestly, I'm praying. I'm praying that the Falcons, I guess I haven't done deep dive on this yet, but I'm praying the Falcons release him and the Eagles sign him.
No, that's
So that way they
messed. You
can
don't
pick him
want
up
that
after
kind
the
of guy on your
prison.
team.
No, the
That's
Eagles are the best place. No, the Eagles are the only place they take players like that and just somehow get them
flatline
to
them.
just, yeah, I mean, you look at like the Michael Vick situation, right? Nobody wanted Michael Vick, right? Whatever, convicted felon, prison for all these years. We go and grab him. Then you have like, I know a lot of people were Jalen Carter character issues. Yeah, I mean, the spitting thing, Dak spit first, but like off the
He
field,
also doesn't show up to practice sometimes, is what I heard.
Jalen Carter?
Yeah,
No.
that's what I've heard.
From who? From where?
They haven't fully fixed his character issues.
I know he shows up to practice. I don't know where that's coming from.
I'm trolling.
But like off the field, it's been great. Not even a speeding ticket. Myles Garrett's the one with the speeding issue. 9 tickets in 8 years or
Yeah,
something. They were
Miles
saying.
Garrett's got issues, but he loves Cleveland. But
yeah, I just think obviously that Diggs situation. I think you go to some team and be crappy and take a deal and it not work out and not be good. Whoever gets him,
yeah,
it better be like it wasn't even that. It was fine on the Patriots, but they went on a Super Bowl run. If you're not planning on going to a Super Bowl run, that's when it's going to be fine. If you're not doing a Super Bowl run, it's probably going to be bad and a horrendous idea.
So speaking of free agency, right? I wanted to bring something up because it's always bugged me. Is the way the NFL does its offseason. I hate that free agency is before the draft because you don't know who's going to go where in the draft. And so when you're looking at young talent, right? I guess we saw this with the Cardinals last year, where we picked up someone in free agency, but then we had someone fall to us in the draft, and so we take them. And I feel like when you have the draft first, you can draft your young prospect that you like and you want to grow, and then you can go fill out whatever you have left in free agency. So for me, right, because that's how the NBA does it, and that's to me that makes sense.
Yeah, and I mean, no, I get
So
that.
maybe you have insight on why the NFL does it differently.
Well, I don't have any insight on specifically why they do it. I can hypothesize. In my right, because you could also see it the other way, right? Like these teams, they want to go up. Like most of the time, free agents are going to more immediately impact your team than the draft is. So they're like, okay, we have spots we need to fill starters. So let's go and get those in free agency. And if we can't get them in free agency, then we're going to use our first rounder on them, right? Like, or maybe our second rounder to fill those holes. But we want to see what's available from the already proven are people that we know can come and immediately impact our team. The other reason that they potentially do it is obviously it's like it's a business, right? And I know all these NFL players like they kind of work. They're pretty much employees of the NFL, right? And maybe the NFL wants to show like, hey, we're taking care of our current employees, like maybe with the NFLPA and whatnot. They're um or just the players association that they're like, look, we want free agency to be before the draft. That way, it gives all of our players options when these teams have spots available they're trying to fill before they've attempted to fill them in the draft. Could be a potential reason that I could think of. Because obviously, these players' associations are getting stronger and stronger, and maybe that's
So
how the
bad.
players' association wants it, is
Hmm.
before the draft to benefit its current players that are in the players' association.
I could see
But
that.
I don't know. It's like two ways I could see it. I think the reason maybe the NBA does it a little different, and I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but right, the NBA only has what, 2 rounds?
Yeah.
Right. So it's only 2 rounds. There's obviously not a lot of spots to typically fill, right? You got like 5 starters, and then what, like 2 or 3, you know, big time bench players. I guess there's even more role players than that. But um and typically your first rounder,
Individual
so
players are more valuable in the NBA than they
for
are in the
sure, right? 'Cause
NFL.
there's only 5 starters.
Yeah.
And if you're only drafting two, typically your first rounder is probably going to be a pretty big impact player most of the time. Um, so half of the people you draft is going to be major impact. In the NFL, I mean, one of your 7 picks could be a major impact, right?
Yeah. That's fair.
So I think that's partially also why, like, I know the NBA is obviously big on development as well, but like the NFL is big on development, but then they're like, yeah, we're gonna probably cut our fifth, sixth, and seventh round picks, you know? So that's where it gets a little funny. But the
That's
crazy
fair.
thing is every once in a while those guys pan out, and then sometimes it's even the unrestricted free agent signings
So
that pan out as well.
let's say tomorrow they come out and they put out a vote to switch the draft to be before the draft. You'd vote no?
Um, yeah, I'd probably vote no. I like it how it is
Okay.
because I just think it makes more sense for the NFL. Like, go out and see if you can go get a proven player to fill a starting hole before you try to force a second or third rounder into that spot and
Yeah.
then backtrack to see if you can get it. And I also think it's like more fair to the rookies because I would also hate to be a rookie and get drafted and then a team like go and like kind of fill the hole that I'm supposed to take
I
versus getting
agree.
drafted and knowing what I'm getting, the situation I'm kind of getting drafted into, you know?
Okay. Yeah.
I
Um,
just think the NBA is a little bit different, and I think the way the NBA does it makes more sense for them too. So I think if I'm the NBA, I'd keep it how it is, and if I'm the NFL, I'd keep it how it is as well. I don't think
that's
either
fair.
is doing it wrong or right
That's
necessarily
fair.
for their league.
And we'll definitely get into more free agency talk next week once all the signings are coming on. We're gonna probably get back to doing 2 episodes a week, is what we have planned so far. So, stay tuned for that. As of right now, though, let's preview a little bit of some early draft talk just for fun,
Love
just
it.
kind of spewing nothing crazy. I want to start it off with your thoughts on this. There's a guy who I'm super high on. Um, I thought he did well in combine. He had a phenomenal season
And
on
you're
a
thinking
team
this for
that
the
went far.
Cardinals.
Yeah, for the Cardinals. I'm
Okay, can
curious
I
if you
guess
think.
who it is?
Sure.
I'm gonna guess you're talking about Ruben Bain.
Yeah, you got it.
Did I?
Phenomenal interview. Um, so the Raiders obviously won. The whole world knows who they're taking one. The Jets are 2, potential to trade that pick, but they'll probably use it. Um, and then we are 3.
I think he's gonna be available at 3 for sure.
You think so?
100%. I
I've
think,
seen a lot of mocks have him going 2.
yeah. So what was the report out of the combine? The short arms. Who had short arms last year that then kind of came to fruition in the postseason there, right? Will Campbell, short arm guy, right? Um, I think Ruben Bain is an unbelievable player, and I will always lean to tape more than measurement of arms or whatever they do at the
Wait, but
combine.
Will Campbell's an offensive lineman.
I know, but it's similar, right? So the reason you want long arms as an offensive or a defensive lineman is you want to be the first one to contact the other, right?
Mm.
So if you have short arms, offensive linemen are going to be able to contact you before you can get into their chest, right, and
Yeah.
contact them. So that's why it's
So
important for
you're not
defensive
high
and
on
offensive
him.
linemen. No, I am high on him. I was just saying that was kind of the report. Oh, his arms are so short, right? Like, so that's why I think he's going to be available because I think one is going to be um, Fernando Mendoza, and I think
Mhm.
two is going to be Arvel Reese, who's the edge
Oh, you think
rusher
so?
out
Yeah.
of Ohio State.
See, here's the
But
thing. I'd also be cool with him if
I
he falls
like
at 3
Ruben
too.
Bain better than Arvel
See, so
Reese,
do
and
I.
I like David Bailey out of Texas Tech better than Arvel Reese as well.
Do you
So
like do you like Bailey more than Bane or no? I know you're
I am
high
a
on Bailey.
I'm a toss up between those two. I think I'd go Bailey first though. I think
Really?
or no, sorry, no, I wouldn't go Bailey first.
Bane?
I would go Ruben Bain first.
Okay.
The reason I'd go Ruben Bain first is I know obviously we're getting like super light like edge rushers right now. It's like a kind of like, they used to be only 280, 270 pounds. And now you can see edge rushers that look like Micah Parsons at 240, right? Nolan
Yeah.
Smith at 235. Like I'm just thinking of some of those lighter ones. Like that's kind of what we've seen come out of the draft lately, where Ruben Bain is this old school, what was he,
Beast.
probably 280. He
Yeah.
is fast. And guess what? You can move him if you want, and he can slide and play interior. He's going to be a beast against the run. Yeah, the short arms thing. I'm like, dude, I watched his tape. Looks like he's great, right? I'm not too worried about it. So I love Ruben Bailey. And that's actually this draft, talking about the draft, I think it is very not top heavy at most positions. Like as far as like top talent at the positions, the only one that I think is top talent is edge rusher with Arvel Reese, Ruben Bain, and David Bailey. Like those three dudes are going to be good in the NFL. Um, Other than that, there's not really a position. I guess you can say top talent for running back, maybe, with Jeremiah Love. But I mean, outside of him, it's not like there's some decent mid round talent. Um, and then wide receiver, bunch of mid round talent. I don't really like the top end of that one. Quarterback, I don't love the top end of that one, right? It's Fernando Mendoza, and then what?
Yeah.
Trash.
And
Um,
Mendoza's kind of a bit of a
there's some
timing merchant.
there's like decent offensive linemen, decent defensive tackle. Oh, there's
I
some
think
good
there's
corners.
I think
If you need
there's
a
2
corner,
good offensive linemen I'm looking at.
yeah. If you need a corner, this draft's a good draft for a corner, a mid-round receiver, top end, um, or top end edge rusher. There's some good edge rushers. Even after that, you get some. There's even some more edge rushers that are good in this draft. But I would love them to get Ruben Bain. He's a beast. But yeah, I like Ruben Bain and David Bailey, maybe arguably more than I like Arvel Reese. I think Arvel Reese
Okay.
gets the nod over both of them because he played at Ohio State, which we know is just like an edge rush factory, right? They
Mhm.
always have good ones and or just good defensive players in general. So I like that. But one thing I want to do on this show, maybe we'll tease this for the future because we're gonna have to do it, is combine betting is I think one of the freest things you can get, right? Because there's so many bets out there, especially with the top players. Are they going to go in the top five, the top 10? What pick are they going to be selected with? And I think there's just some where like sometimes I feel like I know what a lot of these teams value and what positions they value more so than what like the media hype train is.
Mhm.
Like I could have picked like Shadur's over under probably in the draft last year was like the 15th and a half pick. Is he going to go before or after the 15th pick? And I would have
Yeah.
hammered the after. I wouldn't have predicted the fifth round, right?
I think it was
But
21 and a half, and I think
21
we
and a half.
all took the
I'm sure we took the
after
over. Yeah, because I would have hammered that. But that's
because
what I'm
I
saying is
remember we
there's
were
so many
talking
of
about it.
those. There's going to be so many of those that I'm going to like. Like, I don't know what Caleb Downs is. I think he's going to go on his after. I've seen people putting him in like, oh, he could be selected third overall, fourth overall, second overall. I'm like, dude, there's no
Hey, bro,
way
if Caleb
he
Downs
goes
gets
that
selected
high.
third overall, I'm gonna be
Um,
so pissed.
there's just some other ones like the Carnell Tate. I've seen like fourth,
That
fifth.
one's horrible.
I'm like, I
Jeremiah
don't think
Love,
that's
I've
going to
seen as
have.
high as 3.
Yeah,
That's
Jeremiah Love. Like, those are some of the ones that, and obviously, there's stuff that could come out that could change this right now, and you never know what teams are going to fully do. But I think there's going to be a bunch of players where if you have like 8, 9, 10 players that you're betting on, you can for sure hit on 70 to 80% of them and make money on the draft night because you kind of learn some information and you kind of get away from the media hype train because a lot of people that bet that stuff are just following the media hype train. Right. Oh
yeah.
yeah, Shadur. They love Shadur. They've been talking. Is it Cam Ward or Shadur for the first overall? Of course he's going to go before 21. Right. Like there's so much stuff like that. Oh, Caleb Downs is the best player, best defensive player in college football. Yeah, but a lot of these NFL teams, they don't value safeties. Right. And if he
Mhm.
goes at 3 or 4 or 5, he's going to become like one of the highest paid safeties in the league, right?
Yeah.
So you ruin all value of having a rookie on a rookie deal
Bro,
by
imagine
getting
if
an
he goes
expensive safety.
3, plays behind Buda Baker, and he's one of the top paid safeties in the league. That would be
No,
an
he won't. I
absolute.
was just saying like around there, and you never
Well,
know, the
no, but
Cardinals
he'll
could
be
trade
set
back.
up to eventually be. Because if I'm getting this in my rookie deal, and I'm obviously talented, I expect this, right? It's a Cardinal thing to do.
They
So,
aren't going to do that. Just trust me, the Cardinals aren't going to do that.
I don't
They're
know.
not that.
I don't
I
know.
would love the Cardinals to get an edge rusher though.
I would
What
too.
if they
Walter
what if they
Nolan
got
in the games he played was phenomenal last year.
remember him? I loved him. I
Great
loved
nose tackle. Yes, you did. And I was excited. Got hurt, unfortunately. But he's been a healthy guy throughout his whole career, so I'm hopeful that he has his health coming back.
They just need to keep building up that D line, baby. D line wins
Hmm.
football games.
Oh,
If
it
you win the
really
D
does.
line and the O line
Oh,
nowadays
dude.
in football, if you can dominate the O line and the D line with the way how good these schemes are, that's what wins football games and wins championships more so in particular. So I would like the Cardinals. If I'm the Cardinals, yeah, I'm gonna go and maybe nab, maybe a corner in free agency. And then I'm probably gonna be drafting O line and D line predominantly.
I agree.
O
And
line, D line,
and
baby.
please, 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 I know we need O-line, but please draft one of our edges in the first round. Please. That third pick
See,
needs to be an
that's
edge
because
rusher.
nobody wants their team to do an offensive lineman in the first round because it's not sexy.
Well,
An
here's the
edge
thing,
rusher
dude.
is
I
an
think
edge
it's
rusher, a
it is sexy.
receiver,
Yeah,
a
yeah,
running
yeah. No,
back, a
for sure.
corner, a
That's true.
quarterback. Sexy.
But also, what is the success rate of drafting a top 5 O lineman?
Super high.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No.
Trent
I feel
Williams
like
was high. Lane Johnson was high.
how
Penei
high?
Sewell was high. Rashawn
Not
Slater
top
was
5.
high. Top five, Lane Johnson, I'm pretty sure was.
Was he?
I think he was like 3. I should know this as an Eagles fan, but it was so long ago. Let's see. Lane Johnson, 4th overall. Let's see. What was Penei Sewell wasn't that high, I don't think. 7th. What was
Trent Williams was 4th, so I'll give you that.
yeah, and Rashawn Slater is good. I don't think he was that high. I think he was like 20 or something. 13th. What was Joe Alt last year? It just
Not
didn't
that
work out.
not that
Joe Alt
high
was
because Will Campbell was
Joe Alt was
the high
5th.
pick. Was he? Oh,
Will
Will
Camp
Campbell was picked after.
Will Campbell was different draft.
Oh, is this Will Campbell's second year?
No, this is Will Campbell's first year. Joe Alt's second.
Oh, I thought sorry, I mixed up. I thought you said Joel.
Will Campbell was drafted 4th overall. So I just think it's just because it didn't work out for Will Campbell. Hey, and by the way, we hit on the Nuggets. Don't know if you know
Paris
that.
Johnson has been super mid as well, and we took him 4th overall. I guess
Yeah,
that's the
that
reason
one's fair.
I
I think
mainly
you're
don't
just more
want to.
recency. I will say though, 4th is a little bit high, and there's not a tackle, or you have to take a tackle if it's 4th, right? Which is
Hmm.
obvious. I think people typically know that. I don't know if our listeners know that. You take tackles
Yeah,
or first
tackle's the more
rounders. You don't
valuable
take guards
lineman.
or centers until later. And a lot of times, how guards become guards is their failed tackles, right? Or their tackles in college, and they think they're more of guards in the NFL. So because tackles are the more valuable ones, they're on the edge, they don't have any help, right?
Mhm.
But anyways, I agree with you. This draft, I wouldn't take an offensive lineman that early. I think there's some good offensive linemen that you can go and get late first, early second. That's maybe I would if
Yeah,
I'm the
I
Cardinals,
don't
I would go
necessarily
edge
care
rusher
about
and
the
then second
sexiness of the
rounder.
pick. If there was an offensive lineman that was, like, as
Yeah.
clear in a way
Like a Lane
talent
Johnson, a Trent
gap,
Williams. Yeah,
yeah,
those guys are can't
but there's
misses.
not. But I think there's a talent gap at edge, right? It goes
Oh,
like,
they're
honestly, if
elite. Those
quarterback
top
wasn't
three.
so valuable of a position, like, I would much rather
Yeah.
draft, like, a Ruben Bain or a David Bailey or a Arvell Reese than a Fernando Mendoza even, which is might be crazy to say, but,
No,
like, if positional value wasn't necessarily a thing, I don't know.
yeah. No, I fully agree. Um, and I love, I especially love Ruben Bain and David Bailey.
Yeah,
I mean,
no, I
David Bailey's
agree.
a freak of an athlete. I don't know if you've seen him.
I'm surprised
They
you're as low
are
as you are on Arvell Reese, though.
no, I'm not low on Arvell Reese. No, no, no. I don't think Arvell Reese is any better than the other two. I think they're pretty much like all pretty even. Like if the Cardinals picked any one of those three, I'd be like, that's a good pick.
Yeah, that's fair.
Uh, but I would say the one I like the most is probably Ruben Bain because of how he plays football. Like the other
Yeah.
guys, a little bit more like athleticism and speed is kind of more their thing. Where Ruben Bain is physical,
Hey,
strong,
and
versatile.
Walter Nolan's a big boy too, so we
I
just have
know,
a
I love it.
tank, bro, a
Just two
tank
tanks there.
D-line.
I
Oh,
love them.
you're getting me
I would
excited.
love
I'm gonna
Ruben.
be so disappointed when the draft comes. I can't wait.
Well, no, and like I told you, Connor, I would be stoked for you guys if it's Ruben Bain or Val Reese.
No, I know, but, like,
Are you
I
mainly
really
seeing on
want Ruben
Cardinals
Bain.
mock drafts them taking an edge? Is that what you're mainly been seeing?
I've seen him. Well, yeah. I've seen no, I've kind of seen a mixture of everything. Like I've
What have you
seen
been
the O
seeing them?
lineman,
No,
O
you've been
lineman out
seeing
of Miami. I've seen Jeremiah Love.
Jeremiah Love would set
Yeah.
that franchise back so fucking far.
Oh, so bad. So bad. I've seen Jeremiah Love way way too many times. Like probably the
They,
most. It's so annoying.
did they not see like what that does? Like what like Ashton Genty did for the Raiders last year? Like he's a great player. It's just not what you need to win
It's
football games when your O line and D
arguably the
line needs
worst
work.
positional value you can draft. It's
Yeah,
either that
because
or
then
safety.
Jeremiah Love becomes a top five paid running back in the league too.
Yeah.
Um,
And Chase,
oh, they
we
got that
have
Miami
James Conner
tackle.
and Trey McBride. Or excuse me, not Trey McBride. Trey Benson.
Yeah,
So it's like
no,
we
I
don't
don't.
need to go draft
I
a
don't
Jeremiah
mind.
Love when we're
And
missing pieces.
and if I'm you guys, I go get the Price, which was Jeremiah Love's backup, who I think is really really good as well, and actually looks a little bit more fluid in some aspects. And you go get him maybe in the third round or something. Um, if you wanted a running back that bad. Um,
Yeah.
Jeremiah Love, Ty Simpson. Oh my
Hey,
goodness.
wait, at 3 or at
No,
28?
it said yeah, the Cardinals targeting. It was just saying who they could
Hey,
potentially. I'm just gonna go look at this one.
I know, dude. I know you're not high on Ty Simpson, but I want him.
No.
I want Ty
Where do you
Simpson.
want him? With what pick?
Um, I mean, ideally third round,
Dude,
but I'd
if
be
but my yeah,
cool.
I mean that's not bad if it's
I
third,
don't
I
think
guess.
he, I don't think he's gonna fall the third round. I'd be cool with taking him in the second. I I can even convince myself in taking him with the 28th pick, and
Yeah.
s-
Here's
and
this one
I'm
I
not
just
wa- and I'm not saying to do it like to start him in expectations. We take him, we sit him for a year, we let him develop, learn a little bit under Mac Jones, and then we're good.
this one's kind of interesting to me here. This guy has kind of how I would have it. Fernando Mendoza at one, and then the three straight edges. This one it has Cardinals taking David Bailey and Ruben Bain going fourth. But like I said, I see them all pretty similar.
Oh, and they have
But I think,
Arvell Reese too.
yeah, I think Arvell Reese is
A
pretty
lot
much.
of a lot of the mocks I've seen has Ruben Bain too, but
Oh,
you
this
think
one I just
Arvell
look at
Reese will
has
go too?
David Bailey at two. Oh, this one has okay, that's good. I saw Carnell Tate third, but
Oh,
it's an old one from a day ago, and it has the Bills trading up to get Carnell Tate at three.
oh,
Whoever this guy should be fired. Carnell Tate at three. Golly, I swear. See, this is what I'm talking about on the Carnell Tate stuff. Like, I
oh!
cannot wait.
I
As
can't
long
wait to
as I
see
don't
where he
hear any
goes.
reports or like I don't see anything or like I would love because the Bills trading up to three to grab Carnell Tate, a 4.56 receiver that is at Ohio State, where pretty much every year they have to have a receiver that looks somewhat good there. I'm like, Maserati Marv looked a lot better at Ohio State than Carnell Tate did, and we know
Yeah.
how that worked out. I
Hey,
wouldn't take
it's
Maserati
working
Marv
out.
third.
It's
It
not
is,
over yet.
but would you take Maserati Marv third? I mean,
We took him fourth,
oh,
so
this is the other one. This is the other one that I'd actually be kind of interested in. That's Sonny Styles. They're saying fourth for an off-ball linebacker. I think it's just because they saw that combine where he just put on a show.
yeah, went
Caleb
nuts.
Downs at fifth. I could see the Giants potentially doing that,
I
but
mean, Sonny Styles is a physical specimen, so I
no
get it, but
way.
I'm not about it.
This dude has Arvell Reese going seventh. David Bailey's going second. Arvell seventh.
Wait,
And
just
they
give me the
have
1 through 10. Just give me the 1 through 10.
this one's just, I don't like this at all. Fernando Mendoza at one, David Bailey at two. I don't mind that stuff so far. Carnell Tate at three, the Bills trading up to get him. Sonny Styles at four is an off-ball linebacker is
Holy crap.
crazy. That
Bro's rage baiting for sure.
he would automatically become one of the highest paid off-ball linebackers.
Who's 5?
Caleb Downs is five, automatically become one of the highest paid safeties. Francis, however you say his last name, everyone knows the big tackle out of Miami,
Yeah.
Malgoa or whatever. Don't necessarily mind that. Arvell Reese at seven, crazy. Then it goes Jeremiah Love at eight to the Saints,
Have you even said
still
Ruben Bain
high.
yet?
Nope. Spencer Fano, the tackle out of
Out of
Utah at
Utah.
nine. I've watched his tape. I mean, offensive linemen are just so valuable. They're like quarterbacks that get drafted earlier than they should. Ruben Bain Jr., 10th to the Bengals. Bengals go from getting rid of from drafting
Man's a
Shamar,
Bengals fan. He's for
drafting,
sure a Bengals fan, bro.
but what's crazy is they drafted Shamar Stewart early.
Yeah.
They didn't want to pay Trey Hendrickson. Let him go. All the draft Ruben Bain. Like, I just don't see that happening from the Bengals. But the funny thing is they do need an edge
It's not
because
funny. It's not happening.
Trey Hendrickson's leaving and Shamar
Hey, we're
Stewart
giving that guy
sucks.
way too much credit, though. Everything on that was just for rage bait. Though, before we go, the last thing I'll say is, if I see Carnell Tate drafted top 10, L franchise.
Oh, I don't mind this one.
Fire your front office.
Has the Eagles taken an offensive tackle? It's not like an immediate helps us now, but I don't mind it.
Yeah, something you're gonna need anyways.
I want the Eagles to take it actually just totally depends. I want them to get a corner first round though. That way we have three elite corners: Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell, and
Who are you eyeing specifically?
that Terrell out of Clemson is the main one. The Eagles get him, I'd be pretty stoked.
Yeah,
At 23, I don't want them like trading up or like moving around too much.
Yeah,
Unless
I
there's a
don't know if they
stud.
necessarily will.
And I think the Eagles have such a good roster that if there is an elite player that falls to them, I want them to take him.
Like Jeremiah Love at 23.
No, not a running back. I hate.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
But
Alrighty.
the good news is he won't. So that won't be in the conversation.
No, he won't fall. He's gonna get drafted top 10, and that's also gonna be an L franchise. But hey, listen, if you made it this far, please leave a like, subscribe if you're new. We appreciate the love y'all be showing. We're continuing to grow each day. We out. Peace.